What's going on, you guys? Welcome to the Nicotina Show, or Nicotina Live, where I'm here with Ryan Zeberfeld, or you know him as Ryan Doobie, similar to
Yes.
the Doobie Brothers.
Yes, we formed that band a long time ago.
That's right. And today we're going to be talking about a little bit of Star Wars. We're going to be talking about the Acolyte. We're going to be talking about the state of Disney Star Wars, and a little bit more as well. But right now, my question is, what the fuck has happened to Disney Star Wars? It's so bad ever since The Last Jedi. I mean, look, The Force Awakens had its shortcomings, but The Last Jedi is where it really took off into a really shitty direction.
I think yes, I agree with that schism. I think that it all started with The Force Awakens, and that Disney wanted to basically carve out their own. What's up, Sean? They wanted to carve out their own, separate sort of entity or whatever. They're like, nah, we see what George did, but we want to do our own thing, and they've been doing their own thing since.
Well, I think it's a case where, and you and I have talked about this before, I think it's something to where they they want to create their own characters. They want to have their own characters so that they don't have to pay, people who wrote the characters in the
no royalties,
no royalties.
Yeah,
they want it to be their own characters. Just like, I mean, look, they did Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett, terrible show.
Yeah,
bad writing. Felt very claustrophobic. I will say that the flashback scenes, those were good. I like the flashback where it was him with the Tusken Raiders.
Okay, so the Boba Fett thing. Okay, so we all know that the Boba Fett, it actually had a movie. The Boba Fett. It was supposed to be a movie, and they cannibalized the Boba Fett movie and made it the Mandalorian TV show. And the bits and pieces that you got for the Book of Boba Fett was sort of the leftovers, or what was remaining from the previous Boba
everything
Fett
that was
film.
left in the Book of Boba Fett movie. They said, okay, well,
and it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough for them to really build on or expound on, and that's why you have just what you got in that film. You had children and on speeder bikes that team up with Boba Fett. In what universe, not the Star Wars universe, but in what universe would that ever have happened with the Boba Fett that you met in Empire Strikes Back and then saw again in Return of the Jedi?
Yeah, no.
It wouldn't have
speeder
happened.
bike gang, that was the absolute fucking worst trash. And that was the beginning of the end, too. I mean, obviously The Last Jedi was truly the beginning of the end. But when we saw this in the Book of Boba Fett, that's when I knew, okay, I
always equate the riding of the Rancor to the Happy Days jumping of the shark. In that, when would you ever fucking ride a Rancor? Even the Rancors in the damn video games are still something that you would fear, not something that you would sort of okay, well, this is where you put the saddle, and this, it's like, what the fuck? It got ridiculous.
It did,
and the people that praise it, good for them. Yes, that's okay. So look how saturated those bikes are. Look how stupid they look with all the stupid little mirrors and stuff on the sides
on Tatooine.
I mean, look at that speeder bike and look at the speeder bike that Wookiee Jedi or whatever was working on.
Wookiee Jedi
was working on in the Acolyte, right? That speeder bike looked pretty awesome. The show sucks, but the actual speeder bike itself looked pretty good. And I was like, they can do this shit. They just refuse to. They refuse to give you something that is worth a shit.
And the thing too is that when you look at the image I just had up here, let me see if I can bring it back. Obviously on this shot, it just obviously they heavily focus on the girl in that one scene, and that was really the only strong female. I mean, they had what's her name? What was her name? The Asian girl that was helping.
Oh, the girl that got shot in the stomach. That girl right there, right?
No,
the girl right next to him?
Oh yeah, and the other picture, yeah. Pheasant or Ferret or
I can't remember.
Fezzik?
She was a very
Fezzik was from
forgettable character. But I mean, if you look at these speeder bikes, they don't look like speeder bikes. They look like speeder scooters. They look like the thing that old people would ride. Especially that lady, what's your family name? Hell, even that older lady from the Phantom Menace, Fennec. There you go. Thank you. Where she's like, you best get home, Annie. The storm's coming. That's what she would have rode. Is something silly like that. It just looks
Something
stupid.
silly. I don't understand.
It didn't do Boba Fett any favors.
No, it actually it hurt his character to have a group like this at his
That's
side.
his entourage.
Yeah, it was like, what the fuck? And on top of that, it's like, it's almost as if somebody at Lucasfilm or Disney Star Wars said, okay, we got to work in younger characters with more color.
Well,
here we go.
Like I've said, like with the Disney Star Wars, their focus is the children. They want the children. The children are going to grow up. The children are going to want to spend their money and all that. And if you look at these bikes here, even they look like they belong on a Disney ride.
Yeah, they do.
Like, just you go around in circle or whatever, and you go up and down, and there's your fucking ride. That's what they look like. They look like they belong at Disney World.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's really, really bad.
And they're all a different fucking color.
I know,
That's
green,
so
red,
silly.
blue,
Come
yellow.
on.
Come
Fucking
on.
Power Rangers. Let's go.
It's just really bad, and of course, and I don't even want to point this out, but it's like every character on the bikes is like a different race. You know what I mean? It was just like, again, like these were the beginnings of them meddling in there. Like, okay, we got to make sure that our agenda, our check boxes are in place, and
sure.
And it's just a mess. And I'm sorry, but the
book
book of Boba Fett had horrible writing.
Yeah.
And it felt claustrophobic. You can tell that he was on a soundstage. He was on a set. Nothing was on location. Even that shot I just had up, that was probably in a back lot of a studio.
Sure.
They didn't go to New Mexico and build a set.
I think that the Boba Fett set or whatever was used in akin to like the Mandalorian sets. They were just like, well, we're just going to reuse this because it's Star Wars and nobody's going to know. We'll just move some things here and there, and it's a new city.
Yeah,
so
why wouldn't we? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, we'll cut the cost.
It'll cut the cost. And so my problem is this: is that like when it comes to Disney Star Wars, it's like they've overly saturated their own market. They have focused more on their social politics as opposed to just creating good stories. And it's on all fronts. We're talking about not just Disney Star Wars, but it also has an effect on the MCU. It's had its effect on Pixar. Every project that has come out has not had that huge success that they used to have, year in and year out.
Well, not just huge success as far as financials. What I would consider huge success for like in Disney, Star Wars or MCU or even Pixar would be word of mouth. People saying that's a damn good product. That's something that you should watch. That's something that's entertaining. I want to go watch it again. And there are people out there that will watch it in name only, as far as like, it's just, I'm going to go support it because I like Star Wars. I grew up with Star Wars. It's something that, me and this relative that maybe has passed on have, this was our thing and we bonded over that and whatever. So I can't let it go, even though it's starting to suck. I'm not going to acknowledge that. I'm just going to focus on the good. And there are some good things in these properties that kind of seep in, either like, whether it's a really cool prop or a really interesting concept or maybe a cool costume or character, but it's like very small things. It's like you can't claim an overall win on like, nitpicking good things like, oh, there's that was good. Oh, like I said earlier, the speeder bike in Acolyte, 10 times better than the shit you saw in the Book of Boba Fett. But still, the Acolyte is not turning out to be a good story. It's turning out to be very, very, very basic. It's a basic bitch plot.
Well, what it is, it's a basic plot that's trying to be complex. And it's not.
It's like somebody that's using big words for no reason.
Yeah,
it's
like those guys that you hear on YouTube and on Twitter Spaces who you can hear them trying to come up with big words to make themselves sound like smarter, but they're not, and so it's like it's blatantly obvious,
Yeah.
And no one's.
Let me dig deeper in my repertoire.
No one's falling for it. Kids, adults, nobody's watching this and going, "Yeah, no, these guys are right. I love what they're doing." I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that are. I mean, I think Phil's one of them. But I mean, at the same time, it's like when you watch this, I can't help but notice that like all of this it's just so fake. It's just such a fake version of what Star Wars used to be.
Well, they lost the essence of what Star Wars is and what it could be, and that's like with the inclusion of the thread. Like I'm all for coming up with a like this is the way we see things. Like, you know, yes, it does sort of bring you back, and this is the problem that you'd mentioned earlier about, like, you know, we're trying to get away from our story as far as, like, you know, real life. And this is, you know, these Star Wars projects and everything are supposed to be a level of escapism to where, you know, you don't have to worry about, like, you know, shit that you see day to day in this galaxy far, far away. They should have their own things going on or whatever that is not atypical of what you see out in, you know, pop culture today. So, you know, there's that problem right there. But, you know, their stories they fall flat. They're not complex. They're not they're not well thought out. It feels like a lot of them are first or second drafts. And even, like I said, with that threads thing or whatever, if you come up with a different way of looking at the Force, great. But make sure it's well thought out. You know, make sure it's like, okay, this seems legit that these people would think this way or see this way or feel it this way, because the way that they described it didn't make a whole lot of sense as far as, like, why it's a threat or whatever. It's like, we don't use this to fight or whatever. Here, you push me, I'll force push you back or some shit. And it's like, wait a minute, you're using it for you know, nefarious reasons or whatever. It's just there's so many times where this show here in particular, because it's the newest one, it's the one that's most fresh in my mind, because I'm not watching these things over and over again like I should, because they're good. It's just, you know, they contradict themselves in the series, but also within the damn same episode, they'll contradict themselves. And that's not good. And the writer's not catching it. The director's not catching it. The showrunner's definitely not fucking catching it.
Dave Filoni's
editor's
not catching
it. Nobody's catching it. They're just like, no, it's just it's flashy. Put Star Wars on it. Have it go through that, you know, the stupid intro at the beginning where they change character faces in the same fucking.
Oh god,
that guy's so fucking old and annoying now. It's like it's not like, as epic as seeing the fucking Lucasfilm logo, which when you see or you should. It used to be when you saw the Lucasfilm logo, you knew it was quality.
That is the worst.
It's the worst intro. It's so underwhelming.
You know what it is? That clearly represents what is happening with Disney Star Wars. It's so bland and so vanilla that it's like. So basically, the only images that you can show on there is either a droid or a masked character.
They had Jar Jar on there once. I was like, fucking Jar Jar?
I never saw Jar Jar once.
I tell you, I saw it on Mandalorian. I can't remember when, but I saw him, and it was just it was the one time I ever saw Jar Jar's face, and I was like, holy shit, they made Jar Jar. But other than that, it's
I
either
think you
a
were
droid.
falling asleep and you saw half of it, and you were like, well, Jar Jar, what? But that's, I mean, like, when you compare that to the MCU intro. You know, the dun, 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 you know, like that whole, the MCU intro, look, say what you want about the MCU.
Yeah.
But regardless, I think that the intro, the music that goes along with it, badass. Yeah. Like, when I hear that, I'm like, okay, let's go. And then they proceed to shit on me as I continue to watch their new content.
but you're absolutely right. And that is a great comparison, because this Star Wars thing it's underwhelming. And all it is, it's the one, you know, the sound effects is fine. I don't care. It's stupid, but it's the same pass every single time of just these rendered models of masks or helmets or you know, droid heads or whatever it is. And that's their intro for everything. It's like, that's it.
It's
so boring.
It's like you watch that and you're just like, you're like, oh, this is a Star Wars project. It's like what? I don't get that.
It's sort of what they have to put it in front of what they consider to be fan films. That's what it feels like. All this shit is just fan renditions of what they think Star Wars is.
It is
not what Star Wars is. They don't research what Star Wars is. They're like, no, this is my interpretation of this universe. And
that's the problem, is that, like, you don't have somebody who's there who's vetting all of this, who's saying, no, it has to fall within these parameters. Like, say what you want about Kevin Feige, but for the longest time, nothing got through unless he approved it. It had to be vetted and made sure that it was consistent with what they had been doing. And the problem now is it doesn't feel like anyone's doing that. It's like, okay, they've taken the idea of let the creatives do whatever they want, but let's let them do whatever they want to the point where they can basically butcher the entire, franchise or whatever project that they're working on.
There's a level of care that Kevin Feige had. I don't know that he still has it, but there was a level of care that he gave.
I think he's outnumbered. Project. I think he's like, man, I don't have a choice. It could be
that he's having issues. It could, because he answers to somebody too.
He's like, hey, Dave Filoni, careful. If you don't
I
do what
think
they say,
Dave Filoni doesn't really care as far as like, if it doesn't ruin anything for him, if it doesn't, step on his Ahsoka titles,
you should see that.
You should see that.
But instead, all you get is this bullshit right here.
There it is.
It's terrible. It's fucking terrible. Oh shit.
They tried. They were like, fans are gonna love it.
Dun 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 dun. It's like it's the worst intro. And then when you compare that to the MCU, it's like it's badass. Even if the project sucks, even if it's a shitty movie like the Marvels, when I watch that intro, I'm like, dope. I want to see this. And then you watch it and you're like, man, this really sucks.
But then look at this. Like right after you would see that, Star Wars, you would normally, for the Saga series, all 9 films, you would have a crawl. Well, Rogue One was like, well, it's not that kind of movie, so we're going to change that. But then they all started doing it that way. They were like, they would put a crawl, but it would just be flat, or it wouldn't be a crawl. It would just be just words on the screen, and then that would go away. And they're always trying to be like different or whatever. And it's like it kind of pulls you out of it being a Star Wars fan. Like I don't need to see a crawl, but I need to see something. It's like, okay, this is. George was much more regimented in like, this is how things are going to be. Like he didn't have a fucking crawl in Endor, the Ewok
Andor.
Movies. And Endor.
Okay, sorry.
Because that was back in the 80s or whatever. But those were non-saga films. They didn't have crawls, but they had ways of opening, and starting the show. And it's like, dude, you've got to have something that's a staple. You've got to have something, the intro that we just watched that they did, that's their intro, that's their staple. But it does. It makes it look weak because it's not even, they're not even high detailed renders of the helmets. I saw better shit in fucking Battlefront from EA Sports. Of like, oh my God, they really got these fucking helmets. Like I got fucking helmet over here. That like,
but here's the thing: is that
like fucking awesome.
Like I keep coming back to is that when you watch the MCU intro, it reflects, it reflects.
It shows that they're fucking proud of their brand.
Yes,
because they're showing you what they've done in the past. It's like. This, like that fucking Black Panther stuff. They were like Black Panther, pop, 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 pop. It's fucking purple, and it's like showing you images of things that they've done with Black Panther. And it's like, yeah, fuck yeah. They don't do that with Star Wars. You could have something fucking awesome that uses the Star Wars cutout name, and then put the the different characters in there that and then have it kind of. Didn't they do that? I think they did that. No, fucking Lucasfilm, they did that shit where it would show you images of like. Obi-Wan and Yoda and all this stuff when it would just say Star Wars, but then behind Star Wars would be like the images of all that, and then it would go to gold, and you would see Star Wars, and then the title, and that's it. And it's like, oh wow, yeah, no, they did do that shit, and that shit was 10 times better than the shit that fucking Disney put out with that stupid ass intro.
I mean, it shows you right there, like, sort of what they think of the brand. They want the brand to be as bland as possible, as vanilla as possible, so that they can construct a universe without... They don't want you to see... That's what it feels like, okay? I'm not saying this is what they're thinking, but to me, it feels like they don't want you to see Han Solo, Chewbacca, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, all these characters, Admiral Akbar, and then you watch The Acolyte, and you're like, what the fuck happened here? You're like, I just saw all these great classic characters. Who the fuck are these idiots?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and this Leslie Headland, who's in charge of the Acolyte, she fucking sucks.
I think she also got greenlit to do something else.
I'm sure she
outside
did.
of the Acolyte.
So did Ryan Johnson.
I mean, where's that motherfucker?
I know
He's not coming back.
Yeah, Kathy Kennedy's like, we're gonna wait.
Like,
that.
Like, I'll call you back.
I'll call you back. If Ryan Johnson was a girl, I bet you that project would have been already made.
He's thinking about cutting off his Johnson.
And then you got so let's talk about Leslie Headland, the former assistant to Harvey Weinstein. We know all about him. Yep. She looks very proud and to be his assistant. And so they've given her the keys to the Acolyte, which I don't know what makes her qualified to be the creator, the showrunner, and the writer. I know there was another writer as well, but she was, a part of the writing team of this show, which essentially goes back in time and shows you the beginnings of the Star Wars universe. And so this is a very pivotal show because I'm sorry, but it gives them the opportunity to rewrite history, which they've done with what's his name?
What's interesting?
Keanu Mundi.
They changed him in Wikipedia.
They did.
That created a lot of controversy. Like for me, I was like, it doesn't really hurt anything for me. What hurts, not that he's alive, but what hurts is more what he said. Like the Sith have been around for millennia. Okay, right there. And you have, Leslie Headland, she's like, yeah, no, I want to do a show from the Sith perspective. Well, if you're doing a show from the Sith perspective and you have Ki-Adi-Mundi there, then, and this is a character you could have pulled you could have pulled fucking Yaddle. She hasn't had any fucking screen time.
But the thing is, you can argue that, but at the same time in the show, they never said that was a Sith. All they said was...
No, they haven't, but he has a red lightsaber. Red lightsabers mean fucking Sith. That's why fucking what's his name that died? He had an orange lightsaber, and his apprentice had an orange lightsaber because red lightsaber is supposed to be exclusive only to Sith.
And guys, let's also welcome one more guest to our panel, Mr. Fatal J.
Does he look like a bitch?
What?
What's up, man?
What's up, man?
He said that's a tasty burger. Big burger.
Man, can that light be any brighter in your face?
I don't know.
Oh,
man.
There we go.
The light can't be any brighter, and the mic cannot be even more messed up. And I know you guys can barely hear me.
No, we can hear you. I just don't think the mic is working.
I don't think it's working either.
Either that, or maybe in StreamYard audio, it might not be selected.
I don't think it's turned on.
Not that? Oh no!
No,
All right, guy, Fatal J. We're gonna have to get some super chats over to Fatal J to get a new microphone.
My wife let the cat in here one time when I was streaming, and he, when he see all these cables, he just lose his freaking mind. So he took one of the cables and just ran off with it. And it destroyed the mic, man. So I ordered another snowball. These snowballs are actually trash.
They are. You got to get a sure mic.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a professional mic because these snowballs, I don't went through 5 of them, bro. I shouldn't be going through 5 mics.
No.
You know who else uses a snowball?
I've had this for years.
But that's the upgraded version. The little ball, this is trash.
Yeah.
No. But what I'm saying is, you know who else uses a snowball microphone?
Who?
Sil Abdul.
Oh.
Look, man, I'm not gonna trans Sil, man. We don't deal with.
We already did that. It's fine.
Yeah, man. We don't tell the truth about him. I want to leave him alone, man. We don't. We power drive that dude. We were like the NWO on this stream, man.
Let me tell you, brother.
usually when that name comes up, I always drop this little
Why did you say that name?
Yeah,
and then we move on.
Well, what I'll say for something about him real quick. I noticed he's not doing the scoops no more. Seems like he's just trying to be a regular YouTuber now. So
who's his source? He's got no sources anymore. Mikey said, "Rest in peace," but that was
sources
his,
beyond the grave.
That was his cash cow.
That's it.
And the cow went belly up. So.
You guys talking about Star Wars?
Star Wars,
yeah,
man.
We are.
The state of Star Wars. Now, how excited have you been about Star Wars since Episode 7?
Well, I actually got a friend, believe it or not, and no, I'm not scooping. I'm never.
Here it comes.
Here it is.
I legitimately have a friend that's connected with Lucasfilm, and he told me what's going to happen in the future. He told me that this Acolyte show is going to connect to the Rey movie that's coming out
Oh my!
I'm serious. He said it's
I
going
don't
to
see.
connect to the Rey movie.
The only
And
way I see it's connected is that Ahsoka finally meets up with Rey and they team up and destroy the galaxy.
I didn't know. I didn't know exactly what he meant by that. Maybe he meant like Grogu was going to be in this or something. I don't know. But he kept telling me. He said for sure I know that this acolyte is going to lead right into the Rey movie. So
I
I
think
don't.
that the Acolyte has a better chance of connecting, not leading into, but connecting to the Ahsoka series. The Ahsoka movie, because of of the ties with the witches and all that bullshit. So I think it has a stronger tie to Ahsoka. But when it comes to the Rey movie, I mean, look, at this point, if you're working for Lucasfilm and you have any kind of intelligence, you would say, hey, if the Rey film's gonna be successful, we need to not have it connected to the Acolyte whatsoever, because that is fucking garbage. Have you watched the Acolyte, Fatal J?
No, sir. I mean, I watched till up to episode 3, and then I was out. I was
Dude,
I was
that's
really
bad.
out, but I was really out when them girls said, R2D2 is gay.
Oh,
No. She was talking about 3PO.
C-3PO is
And,
gay.
Oh,
and
yeah,
R2D2 is a lesbian. That's what she said.
I was out because I already knew what the show was gonna be about.
It's like, man, Anthony Daniels, he's a British guy. Just leave him alone, dude. He did a good job with what he did, for what he had.
I got an
Hey, but
exclusive.
Fatal's right though, because we actually have video footage of Fatal watching that and giving up on Star Wars, especially the Acolyte. Here it is, right here.
This is bullshit.
And then he got up and left. I'm out.
Hey, I got an exclusive. You want to pull it up?
Okay, let's see.
Tell me what you guys feel about this.
What's this?
Daisy Ridley's Star Wars movie titled "The Star Wars Episode X: A New Beginning."
A new beginning.
Now, back in the day, I would have told myself, "Hey, this is just a rumor." But with Disney, the
Oh,
Disney
yeah.
guy,
It's
this
like
could
it's
be
like
real.
it's like poetry. It rhymes.
They're like, "Oh, we like that. We like that."
New beginning, new
new
beginning.
beginning.
I think they're gonna like decanonize all the old films. They're just gonna okay, guys, we're not only taking them off our platform, but we're gonna go out into your individual homes and rip them from your from your dead cold.
But bro,
fingers.
look what they've been doing. They've been
Oh.
destroying everything George Lucas touched.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course.
Absolutely. And here's the thing: is that when you talk about this, the first thing people say is, "Oh, you guys are misogynists or you're racist." Okay, I'm Mexican American. Fatal J is African American. We're not sitting here trying to be racist. What we're saying is that they're ruining it by all their social politics that they're trying to push into the Star Wars universe. This universe takes place in a galaxy far, far away. I don't want to see Star Wars in a galaxy very similar to the one I live in. Come on.
Nicotina, how can we be misogynist when you have Leia? How can you be misogynist when you have Padme? How can you
Padme?
be a misogynist when you have Jen Orser from Rogue One?
Rogue One.
How can you be misogynist?
And those were well done characters.
Yeah.
Well, that's because that was back then. Even with Rogue One.
Shout out to Prime.
What's up,
Yeah,
man?
what's up, Prime?
What's up, man? Hey,
Me and
that's
Prime, I was just testing Prime. We was talking about the Superman suit.
Oh yeah, you told me about
yeah,
that.
Superman
You told me
suit.
about that.
Yeah, I hit you up too about it.
It looks like Homelander with no shoulder eagles.
Oh, this the thing about gun, man. And I don't want to change the subject, but real fast, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
The S sucks because it's Kingdom Come.
It's Kingdom Come.
I wouldn't have mind the probably call it the diaper. I don't mind the trunks. It's the S that messed the whole flow up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because when you have the trunks and you have more of a classical look, the Kingdom Come S doesn't really flow with that.
It
Because
don't flow with that.
it doesn't
don't
flow with it.
flow.
It needs to have more of a straight suit with that.
If
You
it's the Kingdom Come S, I don't think the trunks would have worked. Just go trunkless. You know?
Yeah. Yes,
Just like
I
the
agree.
Kingdom Come story. But this is the thing. Now the Kingdom Come story had the
No, he had red
trunks.
trunks. He had red trunks.
but he had a different look though.
Yeah, but his suit was also a clean, smooth blue. It wasn't like the whatever the fuck he's wearing in those images, like fucking Star-Lord's jacket.
I trust Gunn, and I trust Gunn as far as he paying attention to everything. Prime
He
pointed
does.
this
He
out
does.
too.
I think he does.
But Prime pointed this out. They taping this thing in Cleveland, where Superman was created. You know what I mean? They're doing everything right. They checking all the boxes right. So I believe Gunn is going to give us a great story, and I believe he's going to give us a great film. But when it comes to comic book movies, you have to get the suit right first. You
Yeah,
have
you
to.
do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the suit that we're seeing could just be a suit that he wears at the beginning of the movie, and then moves on to a better suit. But we don't know yet. We don't know.
That's true, because if he going by All-Star Superman, he does change suits in
Yeah,
the
he does.
story.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the case here. I really don't.
That's
I
a lot
want
of
it
money
be.
to have two suits, you know?
But
Uh,
and I give James Gunn this too. If you watch all the Guardian movies, they always switch suits in those movies too. So maybe it could happen. I hope it happens. I really
Yeah.
do.
It's a diaper, not trunks, fellas. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But back to Disney Star Wars.
Yeah.
Okay, so and like I said before, the thing that bothers me the most is that they are so overly concerned with pushing in these social political agendas, woke, by forcing this shit in. It takes away from the story and the stories in general. Like, I'm sorry, the writing in these shows is fucking terrible. If you had better writing where you can organically work in these characters so everything makes sense, it would be a whole different story.
Mhm.
But instead, the writing is so trash that there's no getting around it. I mean, when you watched episode 3 and you had the witches going, what is it? All for one. All, the power of one,
That
the
was
power
stupid.
of two, the power,
power
of
of many.
many. It was like, what? I was sitting there, I was just like, what am I watching right now? And
It
not
was
only that,
bad.
but it looked like shit. It was like, dude, this looks like CW.
And
It
then they were
looks like
doing
you're
this
watching
the
a
whole
TV
fucking
show.
Doctor Strange thing where they were like, trying to show you a thread or some shit. And I was like, the fuck is this shit? This is dumb. It's just poorly thought out, poorly executed. Just it's trash.
It's absolutely trash. And are there parts about the Acolyte that I've liked? There's some aspects that I have liked and I found intriguing, but I'm sorry, the bad overtakes the good on the show by many, many steps. It's so hard to look past all
because
of
the
problems.
good, you have to look for the good. It's not
You have
just
to look
in your
for the
face.
good.
You have to actually look for, okay, what was good about this thing?
It took us a 2-hour conversation a few weeks ago just to get back on board after episode 2. We were like, okay, after 2 hours, maybe there are some things I am interested in. After episode 4, at this point, I'm just going to watch it because I'm a Star Wars fan. And let me ask you this, Fatal, we've heard this before. People say, well, if you don't like the show, you don't have to watch it. You're asking us
A Star Wars fan.
a Star Wars fan,
Yeah.
to abandon a franchise that we've spent more than half of our lives being entrenched in. But you don't like where it's going, or then you shouldn't watch. What's your response to that, Fatal J? What is your response to that comment?
These motherfuckers can't tell me what to do with my time. I can do whatever I want. If I want to just sit up there and watch something I don't like, I have that right. You can't get mad at me that this show sucks and I want to speak on it. That's the real thing. They don't want you to speak on that the show sucks.
The show sucks.
But I have a theory, man. Can you pull up this next screen that I have?
Yeah, I got you right here.
I have a theory. This is pretty much all. This is all the companies that Disney owns. And people are wondering why is Star Wars dropping crap after crap
That's
after
no
crap
moon.
after crap. The reason why they can drop crap after crap after crap and lose tons of money with Disney Star Wars is because they can afford to lose money. It's all about the messaging now, ladies and gentlemen. It's not about the creativity. It's not about pleasing the fans. It's all about you making this type of group of people, and we want you to accept this type of thinking. So this is why Star Wars is never going to get back to what it's supposed to be. That's why I'm all about people like Zima Fett coming out with his own comic book. This is what I'm all about for nerds, giving us the Snyderverse in comic book form. We're never going to get this stuff back that we fell in love with. I can remember a time when people was camping out in front of the movie theater when the next Star Wars movie was coming out. You think I'm gonna camp outside for this crap? That's Disney.
For the Ray movie. I'm going to camp out for the Ray movie.
Nobody's going to camp out for the Ray
No.
movie.
It's
Nobody
over,
is.
ladies and
Everyone's
gentlemen.
going to fandango that shit and then just show up a half hour before the movie starts. No, it's an absolute joke. And then when you look at this right here, I mean, fuck Rotten Tomatoes for that matter.
Why did you say that name?
But when you look at the audience score, 14% audience score after an 85% tomato meter, which is basically the critics. A lot of them are I would say, even paid off too. But 14%. What does that tell you?
Well, they didn't meet their goal.
It tells you that the fans are like, yo, this is trash. But
yeah, I think they're trying to get it to a 0%. I think they're trying to get it to negative.
But see, that's the thing, is that everyone's going to say, well, those are just the fans that are mad. They're hate reviewing this. I don't think so. People are voicing their opinion about the Acolyte. It's not good.
If it's a vocal minority, if it's a minority of fans that don't like it,
you can't use that word.
I
know what you mean.
It's a minuscule. If it's a minuscule group of people, okay, you come up with one better. But if there's not that many people that are quote unquote hate voting this or whatever the fuck, like none of us did this shit.
I didn't do any of this shit.
And so there's got to be a hell of a lot more people than they're giving credit for. Ninja Blast, man.
Ninja Blast, there it is.
Ninja Blast 2 is coming out.
This is what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. Disney Star Wars, they're never gonna come back. Marvel is starting to slip too. DC, I don't know yet.
We don't know yet.
It's plenty of people out there that's producing their own superheroes, their own comic books, their own content. I'm not gonna say it's better, but a lot of people say it's better. You know what I'm saying? I'm all about the individual that's creating their own stuff at this point, because I can remember a time going to the movie theaters, watching Revenge of the Sith, watching A New Hope, and I was talking about this stuff for months because it changed my life. You know?
Yeah.
We just not gonna get that
Man,
anymore.
I grew up on the Star Wars, franchise pretty much my whole life, man. I even went as far as to make a Star Wars fan film. Couldn't finish it, but I sunk a lot of money and a lot of time into I had kids, young kids at the time, and and not only that, I got passes to go see episode 1 for the media screening. That was huge for me, to be able to not have to stand in line or, all that. But there were people at that time, episode 1, that was huge. Last time you're ever going to see people standing in line like that for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because
it doesn't happen anymore. It
just doesn't happen. Because you got, like you said earlier, Fandango, so you don't have to do that. But like, man, I spent so much of my time, energy, money. I bought Star Wars toys and stuff and all that. I bought the stupid Gentle Giant busts and all that stuff, man. Sunk so much money into that. Bought lightsabers and all that shit. And I recently put a lightsaber fight, with me and my son Matt, on TikTok, I think, or Instagram. Put that up. It was fun. But I love the franchise. When Disney got a hold of it, they were like, all right, we just spent $4 billion. What's the quickest way we can make our money back?
That was the worst part about it, is that they should have said, who do we put in charge of Star Wars? And then once you get that person in charge of Star Wars, what is your plan for Star Wars, and how are you going to plot the course for the next 10 years?
If you guys had a director to go over the trilogy, the sequel trilogy, who would be your director?
Oh, to direct that was obviously not one of the ones that directed it.
Zack Snyder.
He wouldn't have had the right tone. I honestly,
he wouldn't have had the right tone.
I would have asked number one, either Ron Howard.
I would ask James Cameron.
I don't think he would. I
think
he
could do it, bro.
No, but I think he would have tried to change it to something for him.
He would have adapted it, or he would have had it altered just a little bit.
His ego's a little bit too big.
He would have been like, robots.
He's a good director. He's a good director. I'll give you that. I love his stuff.
He's
and
a
I
great
like
director.
What about
Avatar,
Chris Nolan? You think Nolan would have been able
No,
to do it?
I don't think Nolan would
it
want
would
to
have
do
been.
that.
I think it would have been same thing, man. He would have wanted to change it and make it more intriguing and
I mean,
different,
I
and
know-
it would have turned out like Tenet, where it was like the fucking volume couldn't hear anybody. People would have been like, "What the fuck?" But I mean, even if you look at the sequel trilogy, man, look at the sequel trilogy. Even John Williams phoned the shit in. Can you hum any of the themes from the sequel trilogy? Can you hum any of them like you can for Empire Strikes Back, like you can for the prequels? You cannot, because
I can kind of
it's
hum
not.
Kylo Ren's theme, but I lose it after like a second. I'm like, dun,
They don't have themes that resonate with people because he phoned that shit in.
I
He
don't
didn't
think
care.
I don't think it's because he phoned it in. I think it's because
He didn't care.
the writing and like the story itself, the movie, it wasn't passionate enough. It wasn't compelling enough to where it, those scenes.
It had no emotionality. The most emotion you got was Rey's face going. Arr! That was it.
When you compare that to the scene in Empire Strikes Back where she tells Han, "I love you," and he says, "I know," dun, dun, and the music kicks in, and then he gets lowered into the
Starlight Pit.
No, Starlight Pit. Into the carbonite. That's a fucking beautiful scene. You know what I mean?
You're like, yeah. That
Dun,
was
dun, 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 dun,
You know how you could have saved half of the movie? I was telling Zero Fit this the other day. Believe it or not, just one simple thing would have saved 50% of this whole franchise. They should have never took off Kylo Ren's mask, man.
No, they shouldn't have.
Yep. When
Not until
they
the
showed
second one.
when they showed Adam Driver's face,
That was it.
that was it.
That was
It was
it.
like,
That was
oh,
it.
he's not
the
that
mystery
scary.
was over. Who cares? Now
Yeah.
you in the fucking Acolyte, you got Kylo Smiley in there, and
Think
Smilo
about
Ren.
this, though.
Smilo Ren.
Milo
But think-
Ren.
But think about this though. Think about how different the tone would have been if, yes, we knew in Force Awakens that Kylo was Han's son, but when he stabbed him, he never had he had the mask on.
Mm-hmm.
Just think how different that tone would have been.
Oh, completely different.
You would have been like, "Oh, this dude is medicine. He killed his own father," you know. But he took off the mask.
That mystery still, even though like. Who's playing him? Let's go look him up on IMDb, and then, people would flood to that or whatever. So they know who's under the mask, but being under the mask gives that mystery, that mystique, like wow, what's going on in this guy's head? Like when he was destroying the console with his lightsaber because he was having a fit. I was like, damn. I was like,
I like that scene.
I was like, that's different from Darth Maul. That's different from Darth
because
Vader.
it showed that he was flawed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like, okay, this guy isn't perfect. He's got problems. I mean, I like this. Where his mask should have came off was, I mean, it still would have happened at the end when Rey hits him in the face. That's when it should have broke off his face, and then you've seen his face, but with a huge gash across his face, like So you're like, oh shit, there he is, but he looks fucked up. This is kind of weird. I can't.
Nah,
really...
they shouldn't have took his man should have came off at the very end of that freaking crappy movie, Rise of Skywalker.
I don't want to think about the Rise of Skywalker.
There shouldn't have been. Palpatine shouldn't have been there. Unless
If that was-
the
if
only
that
way
was a video
Palpatine should have
game-
been there is if his ass was in the whole fucking trilogy, or
Yeah.
at least in two of the movies.
That
But
was the
somehow
worst
he
part.
returned though.
I
Somehow
know.
he returned.
It's ridiculous. It
No
should
one's
have been
ever
Darth
really
Plagueis. Darth Plagueis should have been the one that was the
It
main.
should have been.
was the
It
main
should have been
villain.
Darth Plagueis survived and was like kind of like a vampire. Was like kind of seeps. It's kind of sifting the Force for so many years because he wasn't strong enough to take over Sidious. So when Vader threw Sidious down the Death Star 2, he was like, okay, I'm going to try to regain power or whatever. But again, over time, because it would have been another 20 years.
Bro,
Yeah.
somehow Palpatine returned.
He got thrown down the damn pit in the Death Star, and the motherfucker blew up.
It
But they're
blew
like,
up.
they were like, "What's fine? He lived.
Yeah.
We
He
cloned him.
survived somehow. He's like,
We cloned him.
Escape
like,
pod.
what? But that's the easiest out. Is that we cloned him? Like, oh come on! Like you couldn't think of anything better than that. I mean, get the fuck out of here.
It's
I
over,
mean,
man.
it's not good. And
You
if you would ask
would have
me,
been a good hit. Real quick though, I'm gonna
Go
tell
ahead.
you would have been a good pivot to save Star Wars. It's too far gone to be saved now.
Yeah.
But when Luke showed up at the end of Mandalorian season 2. I think they should have came out with a Luke Skywalker series or a movie or a trilogy or something.
Yeah, they should have
And
had a Sebastian Stan. They should have hired us to be Luke Skywalker and say, you know what, we'll give you X, Y, and Z, but you're going to be our Luke.
Yeah,
and we're going to do this going forward. And
show him rebuilding the temple back up, showing him going on his adventures, fighting Thrawn or something like that. They could have saved it, but when they dropped Kenobi, that was the nail in the coffin.
Oh,
that was the nail in the coffin.
Garbage. And not only that, but like again, another show that they didn't go on location and film this shit. They filmed that shit in a back lot, in a studio, on a sound stage, and it felt claustrophobic. It didn't have a grand scale. Andor, I know we talk about Andor a lot. The one thing Andor got right, they got a lot of things right, but one of the things they got right was that they shot everything on locations. You had these big, huge landscapes around them, big areas. It gave it a grander scale, and it looks cinematic. It looked like you were watching a movie in long form, similar to like when you watch House of the Dragon. It looks like you're watching a fucking movie. When you watch Disney Star Wars, other than Andor, it feels like you're watching a TV show.
Yeah, that's a great point, bro. TV shows are looking like movies now. Like you said, Game of Thrones, House of Dragon. So Star Wars have no excuses. Every series should look grand and big and have $1 million budgets. Why the freak is most of this stuff is in front of a green screen?
I'm telling you, Andor was the only one that I watched that I was like, dude, this looks like a fucking movie. And not only that, but Andor had Michael Wilkinson doing all the costumes, the same guy who did the costumes for Man of Steel, BVS, Zack Snyder's Justice League. So it had that really good aesthetic to it. Like everything worked with that. And even when he went to the jail scene where he met Andy Serkis, I thought for sure, I was like, okay, so this is where the show's gonna sputter out. No, it got even better. I loved it.
Yeah, because it went from a heist. It went from a heist to how do we get out? How do we break out of jail?
Yeah, and that's what you're talking about. Cool. You're talking about Andor, Cassian Andor, a character that you already know is dead because he dies in fucking Rogue One. But that show was more compelling and was better written and was production. It was better filmed, the lighting, everything than what we're seeing out of all the Disney.
The
Star
problem
Wars.
with Andor is that it shows the shortcomings of all the other shows. It shows that like people can take their time and write a good story. It might not have been the most exciting story for a lot of Star Wars fans. Like if it doesn't have a lightsaber and it's not Star Wars, dude, get the fuck out of here, man. If you can play, Jedi, if you can play Starfighter, Rogue Squadron, or whatever, which has no lightsabers, that's fucking Star Wars.
That's Star Wars.
There's so many other things that you don't have to have the trademark lightsaber in the show.
Well, Mandalorian proved that though. Mandalorian proved that you can have a dope show without the lightsabers. But my thing about Andor, I'm gonna have to go back and see because even Abu Nas, he was telling me, "Oh man, this show was dope." I enjoyed the heist scene. The heist that was incredible. Like that was like moving the needle for Star Wars. But I fell asleep on a lot of those episodes. They just move a little bit too slow for me. But
it was a slower pace. I'll give you that.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch.
If there's any show on the Disney platform that I would rewatch that they made, I would rewatch Andor above all of them. Even over the Mandalorian. I like the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
I think it's good, but I would rewatch Andor because like you said, it's slower pace. So there's some things that I may have missed or whatever. But I think it's an enjoyable show, and it's actually done by it's got women in there that are fucking part of the heist and shit.
Yeah.
So us misogynist guys should hate it.
We should hate it. But we're not, because that's not who we are.
It's just an excuse, man. It's just an excuse. And I'll say this real fast. Like Amanda Steinberg, when she came out that video when she was twerking and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed, like, when a new Disney show come out, and it happens in episode 2, 3, or 4 around that time, they'll come out with a statement where, hey, quit being toxic. You guys are being so toxic. You guys are not being understanding about females. Have you noticed on each Disney Plus show, they always do this? That's a part of their marketing. It's a part of their marketing.
Well, yeah, no, it definitely is because it's the easiest way for a low IQ person to win an argument is to call names and label people as whatever. because if they can call you a name, if they can label you as an ist or whatever, then for somehow they automatically win that argument in their minds.
It's fucking ridiculous, dude.
It's like, oh, well, you're just a blah blah blah, and because of that, I'm going to block you and I can't talk to you anymore.
Yeah,
it's like, well, oh, okay, so that's
to make up the
very
excuse that, like, oh, yeah. And this video, I know Vero just stepped away, but this video in general from Amanda Stenberg, this was the dumbest shit I ever seen. This was fucking so dumb.
What the fuck are you saying?
Yeah,
are you rapping? Or are you whispering? What are you trying to be seductive? What the fuck are you doing?
I don't know, but all I know is that, like, this video in general, it already painted. The Acolyte was already bad. This made it even worse. It was because cringe. She was one character that I didn't. She didn't totally bother me all that much. I was just kind of like, whatever. She's kind of bland. Now I'm just like, your character sucks.
Well, I mean, look at this anyway, dude. I mean, read the fucking caption. It says rage twerks against right wingers. Like, fuck you. Who's a right winger, bitch? Like, I don't give a fuck about that crap.
Yeah, I don't.
You know, I don't give a shit about that. You know, that's ridiculous, and that's who you're pretending to go after or whatever. Or that's who you're labeling people. Man, fuck off, you idiot!
And I'm telling you right now, there's no fucking way that she made this video. Well, she says she made by herself, which that's a fucking lie. There was somebody else there.
Because
it was her alone with her entourage,
with multiple cameras. You know,
yeah, because that editing was too good for her to do that. Buzz.
Oh yeah,
I made it in 72 hours. Oh, good. Bullshit. Go fuck yourself. Bullshit. But here's the thing too. I can guarantee you. I should say can guarantee. I bet you that not only did Leslie Headland sign off on this shit, but so did Kathleen Kennedy. And I bet you when they saw this shit, they were like, yeah, girl, you get him.
The only one that would have been disappointed is her white father. Have been like, hey, don't be fucking sticking your ass in front of the damn camera.
You right, bro. I forgot she do got a white father.
She has a white father. He's from Iceland. He's white as hell.
And she's talking about people being racist, man.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, what are you talking about?
It's a game. It's all a game.
It's a game. It's a game. It is fake, bro. It's fake. It's fake.
And then you get shit like this. Lucasfilm boss says women in Star Wars struggle with toxicity due to a male-dominated fan base. Here's my thing: is that when you have any dominated fan base, maybe females, males, fucking dogs, whatever the fuck it is, what do you usually do? You cater to your fan base. Instead, their position is, no, we're gonna give you this kind of product, and you're gonna like it.
It's not just that, dude. No, you were close. You were so close.
Well, now you're gonna like it, but if you don't like it, go somewhere else.
Male-dominated fan base that they don't want.
Hey,
they don't want the male-dominated fan base. They want a new fan base, and that's who they're catering to. That's what they want, and it's a vocal minority because they can't fucking upvote all their stupid shit shows. The only people they can get to upvote the damn shows are the critics.
This
the
is
critics
fake too,
because
though.
of access.
This is fake to build outrage. I forgot another thing that my guy said. He said stuff like this, statements like this, the stuff that Amanda Steinberg did. He said what they're doing is they want to keep the Acolyte name trending or any other Star Wars show trending. So this right here, when Kathleen Kennedy know everybody hates her guts at this point, so she's gonna continue being a villain. Okay, so when she makes statements like this, it gets Acolyte trending again. Because he said what Lucasfilm is looking at, they don't care about the good or the bad. He said they just want the engagement. They want you to keep talking about it.
That's terrible.
It is terrible, but
I'll tell you what, she's completely aware of how the fans feel about her, and she's been aware about this since the Last Jedi, when they had the celebration after the Last Jedi, when they were trying to promote Rogue One.
And they were booing her.
And so what they did, what she did, was the lights went down. They showed the trailer for the next show. When the lights came back up, she was already on stage, so they couldn't boo her as she walked across to join them and sit down. She was already on stage because they didn't want to have them boo her.
But you remember, one of them she did, they was announcing each person. And remember they announced Kathleen Kennedy? Like, they were clapping for all the actors, and then when it was time for Kathleen Kennedy part, it was no clapping. It was just straight booing. Yeah. I'm going to try to pull it up so you guys can have
I would need to hear that, because last time I saw her, she joined stage after the lights went up.
Oh, I'm sure she did. But it's comments like this that bother me to the point where it's like that shouldn't be the focus of your of Star Wars. That shouldn't be what you're focusing on. What you should be focusing on is creating good quality content that is canon to what's come before it, not rewriting history and putting Kiadi-Mundi in the fucking Acolyte when he wasn't even born yet, and then going to Wikipedia and being like, hey, make sure you change your shit because he was actually born on this date now. We changed it. It's like, and look, is that a fucking game changer? Is that the end of the world? It's not. But again, it's like they're forcing their own narrative onto what's already been established for no good reason.
No, the reason again, dude, is that they want a different audience. They don't care about us. They don't care about anybody.
They don't care.
And a problem with the thing that Fatal brought up earlier about, they want to keep it on people's lips and they want the Acolyte to be talked about and all that kind of stuff. You've got the people that talk negatively about the shows, and they want and the only reason why they can do it or they want to do it or whatever is because they get super chats. Because they make money off
think
of
about this,
talking
Ryan.
bad about it.
But think about this though. Not only
if you guys want to drop a super chat, go right ahead.
but not only that though, you have to think on a deeper level too. Those people that hate watching and hate talking about the show, they're promoting the show.
Well, that's what I mean. Is that it's a vicious cycle of a snake eating itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
Absolutely,
they continue to talk about it, and they want to only look at the bad stuff. Like, I'll talk about the shit that's good. Like we mentioned earlier in the show, I like the speeder bike that was in the Acolyte. I thought that was a great design. I like the little fucking beaver dude. I thought that was a great design.
Yeah.
But there are things in these shows that like, oh yeah, that's good, or whatever. But no, okay. I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Terrible, man. What the fuck?
Like
terrible,
you can
man.
die from getting cut like that, but you can't die from getting thrust in the stomach.
But what pissed me off about that Wookiee, they taking stuff from the EU that everybody love, and they're distorting it. Chewbacca nephew. Yep. And think about this, even Rey and Kylo Ren. That was nothing but Jason and Jaina.
Yeah, Jason
and Ben, and it was all three kids, but sort of like picked apart.
Yeah,
but
because Disney wanted to make new characters again, so they don't have to give any props or any monies to anybody who created Jason.
Yeah, any royalties. They wanted all of it because it would have made more sense, right? Like if you'd have put us in charge of Star Wars, right? Just hypothetically, right? And another multiverse we are, and we would have said, okay, so in going into the Force Awakens, let's include Jason and Jenna, the twins. Let's include Ben. Let's include Mara Jade somewhere in this.
Definitely Mara Jade. Yes,
but did they do that?
No.
Fuck no. They were like, no. If we do that,
we're like, we're
then we gotta pay
changing
royalties
everything.
to all these people, to George Lucas. We're not original. No, we want everything to be
found
our
a
characters.
loophole that they didn't have to pay anybody going forward. So that's why they created Din Djarin, which was a Boba Fett.
But then they came out with the Boba Fett series, which I think was weird because it was like, oh wait, so now you're gonna embrace some of the older characters, and then you watch the show and you're like,
they made
him
out to be an idiot, a punk.
He's like, I'm gonna rule with respect. I was like, oh god, that's the worst. Okay, here it is right here. This is the video you were.
All right, y'all never seen this before?
I haven't seen the not 2023. No. Okay, no, I don't watch. I don't watch. I haven't watched fucking Celebration since Rogue One.
Okay, check this out. You're gonna have a good laugh.
Please put your hands together. First up, the creator and executive producer, Tony Gilroy. Executive producer and president of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy.
Oh, Andor.
President of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, they booed her.
Yeah, hold on. Listen again. Listen to the cheer the first guy got, and then listen to the cheer she got.
Please put your hands together. First up, the creator and executive producer, Tony Gilroy. Executive producer and president of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy.
Nothing.
Nobody gave a fuck.
You can hear a little in the background. That's the paid people, right? But
Well, no, that's the people that are in the back that can't afford anything, and they're like, "Yeah, oh, we're not supposed to yell, yay."
Like, they're the ones who got the free passes. They got the free passes to go there.
I'm just so happy to be here.
I'm just so happy to be here. You know,
man. She know how they feel about it, man. You know?
Yeah.
The last thing I want to bring up is this, and I'm pretty sure Fatal J saw this as well. If not, then I thought this was very interesting. This is about Disney in general. This comes from James O'Keefe, and let me go ahead and pull this up. This was shocking when I saw this last night. Senior Vice President of Walt Disney Company details a discriminatory hiring process. Nobody else is going to tell you this, but they're not considering any white males for the job. And this is talking about jobs within Disney. Here, you know what? Instead of me reading this, I'm just going to play this video and it'll describe everything. Here we go.
Certainly, there have been times where, there's no way we're hiring a white male person.
Just kind of unspoken.
There are times when it's spoken.
How would they say it?
There's no way we're hiring a white.
All I can tell my white guys, welcome to the club.
Yep.
There we go.
Like straight to you, or okay.
They'd be very careful how they message that to agents.
According to these videotapes, Disney blatantly discriminates against white men in particular.
I think I'm sort of well prepared for it. I'm well positioned for it. But as far as Disney's concerned, I'm a white male. That's not who they're looking to promote at the moment.
As a white guy, even Michael has his own doubts about the possibility for advancement for himself at Disney. In fact, Michael actually got to experience Disney's discrimination against white males firsthand.
I've been at the company 11 years now, so I have friends in HR and I have friends in those divisions, and they're like, look, nobody else is going to tell you this, Mike, but they're not considering any white males for this job. They're just not. That's not what they want.
They even passed over a qualified half-black person for a promotion because they didn't look black enough.
We wanted to hire somebody in the department a few years ago now.
And that's how do you say that with a straight face? He doesn't look black enough. Fatal J,
look,
I'm sorry. You don't look
they're-
black enough. We're going to go with this other guy.
That's why I'm glad my son loves two things: sports and video games. He could care less about Marvel, DC, or Star Wars. Because, it's just, basically when you boil down to it, it ain't just a white man factor. It's a man factor, period.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. It's just the white man is it's the first target.
Yeah.
It's not the last target.
We're not going to watch the whole thing because it's like a 20-minute video.
Oh, we got it. No, we're good.
No.
Hold it down.
Look,
Wait, medical what? Oh,
I think it ends right
see,
here.
guys
Buzzwords
like
are
us.
used to explain what they're looking for. They might say something like, look, we're not looking at the usual suspects for this job. So it's not a legally actionable thing. But everybody knows what it means. They, for writers and actors, you hear all the time, I'm looking to hire writers and actors who bring diversity. I'm not looking to bring on any more clients who are white.
I'm not looking to bring on any more clients that are white.
I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised by this. I'm just not. It's just, you can see it in almost every property that they've started or created, like Din Djarin. That's I forget his name.
Pedro
Pascal. They've got Ray. They've got the Rogue One girl. They've got Jen Erso or whatever the actor's name, but you've got the Acolyte, you've got Book of Boba Fett. None of these, all these are just okay, non-white. If you're white, you're a fucking villain.
I just think when you watch the Acolyte, it is the absolute. It's this right here. It's this times 1,000. You know what I mean? Where it's this one, they just sprinkled it in, and you still notice it. Whoa, what the fuck are those doing here? They look like fucking waffle makers, or they look like KitchenAid mixers.
Like bumper
they
cars. Remember bumper cars?
Yeah.
Cars.
Well, that's what I said. You'd probably see these at a Disney World park. Hey, you want to ride that?
Yeah, it's a ride. But it's taking that to 1,000. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
in the Acolyte in general, when you watch the show, this last episode, episode 4, they actually shot some scenes on location, which I was very proud of. I was like, all right, good. I like seeing that. Those are the, as Ryan said, the Lord of the Rings shots where they're walking along the hillside.
Following a little beaver guy.
But
Yeah.
this is the thing, though, fellas. Guys like us, we got wives, we got kids. They hate us.
Because we have a family unit.
But anything opposite of good is bad to them. You know what I mean? Having a wife, having kids, the traditional normal way, the God-given way, they hate that. You know, that's why they celebrating alternative lifestyle. Now, Fatal J doesn't have nothing against people that want to do that, but I'm just saying this is not really for us anymore. You know,
It's not.
It's targeting the children, the next generation.
Yes,
You know?
because that's where the money is. They say, you know what? If we can get the children to want this, then the parents will buy it for their kids.
And this was the worst. This video,
I'm sorry.
I
always wanted to take this and splice it with the Michael Jackson black or white video and just kind of like when they did that. It's
when they did this.
It's like, it's just and then just morph her at the end, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, this is so cringe.
Fucking ridiculous, dude.
It's so cringe.
Ridiculous.
You're just like,
Hey, know what? Negativity, you said something that stood out to me. Kathleen Kennedy signed off on this.
She had to have signed off on this.
She signed
had
out
to
on
have.
And one thing I told you guys, we're off camera, but I mean, always,
Well, you're gonna say it on camera now.
I'm gonna say it on camera. But I mean, dude, look who Kathleen Kennedy's married to. She's married to fucking Frank Marshall, which is a huge Hollywood mogul.
That's how she got in the game.
Dude. Well, she got in. She's been producing, Steven Spielberg. She was producing. She's produced almost every single movie you love. E.T., Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park.
Just being a producer don't mean you're a creator, though.
It doesn't mean you're a creator, and it doesn't mean that she's being.
This is Star Wars now. This is Star Wars. The gyrating.
She looks like a Spice Girl.
The we so bored. Don't fuck with yo discourse. All of this. It's all Disney Star Wars. Oh, that's Saggy Melons. Hold on a second. There we go.
What is Saggy Melons? Okay, and as a black person, I took offense to this, man, because when she was doing all that stupid twerking, that's not black culture, okay? Can you stop that? So it's like a double-edged sword, It's attacking a lot of different.
If I wanted to do a dance-off with you, you wouldn't start twerking.
You can twerk as much as you want to, and I'm pretty sure you do it anyway. But all I'll
do it
this.
between takes.
So Venom, a good supporter of the show, he wants to know
who's Frank Marshall?
Who's Frank Marshall?
He is the brother of Penny Marshall, and Penny Marshall was on. What was it? What was it?
Laverne and Shirley.
Laverne and Shirley, and she also directed films. But Frank Marshall, look up Frank Marshall on IMDb and see what he has produced. He has produced movies for George Lucas. He's produced movies for Steven Spielberg. He has produced movies for Ron Howard. He's produced movies for. Dude, this guy right here.
So this is Frank Marshall right here.
Yeah.
And when you look at what he's been known for, The Case of Benjamin Button, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Congo, Signs.
Congo was dope.
So this is what he's been affiliated with as a producer. Let's see, Jurassic Park, World Dominion. You have to go deeper.
The original Jurassic Park.
The original Jurassic Park. Hold on. It gets real good in a second here. You see all these projects, right? Let's see.
I got a theory though. Right, you looking up for that?
The Bourne movies, okay?
Yeah.
Like the Bourne movies, Jurassic World. Go ahead.
I got a theory about this woke stuff, man. This Disney woke stuff. This stuff haven't been happening throughout the course of Disney, and I'm not trying to attack anybody's political opinions. I'm really not. But I noticed when this woke stuff begun, it begun when Trump became president. You go back in time and go back to look when Trump became president. That's when all these weird movies started coming out from Marvel, DC,
what year was
Wars. Let me go back. Let me look when he got elected. But when Trump got in there, that's when they started with this weird stuff.
Because they've been doing this weird shit since The Force Awakens, where they made Rey fucking unbeatable. She's like, I know how to fly the Millennium Falcon and also fix it, and I know how
Better
to
than
do
you
this, and I
can.
know how to use a fucking lightsaber, and I know how to, I can get myself out of any situation possible.
2017.
What's that?
17? Oh
What
shit!
was 2017?
He began his inauguration on January 20th, 2017.
Who did?
And when did the Force Awakens
President
come?
Trump.
Why did you say that name?
We'll talk politics on here, so let's just move on.
Now,
from
I
that.
mean, I didn't mean to, say, but I'm just trying to make a point.
Yeah.
Where all this stuff come from, you know?
I mean, I think, yeah, I would say that right around that time is when it did start.
Force Awakens started 2015, and that
15.
and think about it. 2015 is when Force Awakens was alright. You know what I mean?
It was
The
all
only
right.
thing, it had potential. It had potential, but like I said, it had flaws because it already made
had
Rey
flaws.
an
It had
unbeatable
flaws.
character.
Now watch this. Watch this.
An unbeatable character.
She's unbeatable. You
what's
can't
the-
beat her because she's a female.
But
The
watch
only
this.
person that could beat her is another female.
But watch this.
the only
When did Last Jedi come out? I'm trying to prove a
After
point.
The Force Awakens.
Okay, but what year? I'm
2
trying to-
years. Yeah, 2019. Yeah, so because they released it 2
2017.
years apart, right? Because they wanted to
2017.
make that, they wanted to get done with the saga so they could
Yeah.
start their own shit.
So
and make
Trump
their own
came
money.
in. His inauguration was 2017.
Oh shit!
Last Jedi came out 2017.
Oh, you guys, hold on a second, hold
We
on.
got somebody backstage.
Got a super chat.
Hold on,
Oh,
look,
turn this
look
shit
at,
down.
look
I'm
at,
gonna give
look
y'all
at,
a little history
we're getting
lesson real
streamed
quick,
right
right?
now.
Oh,
we get-
shit. What's that?
We get EFAP'd. Who was
Yeah,
that?
yeah, we're getting streamed right now.
Oh,
This
nice.
is-
Oh,
this is
look,
great.
it's
It's RJ and
Yeah, what's up?
the little
RJ's in
movie
our
perp
chat.
who's a little
Oh,
velociraptor.
we're watching you.
Hey
That's
guys.
awesome. Thanks, guys.
That's right. That's great.
That's awesome, man.
That's great.
We're just trying to drop.
Make
truth.
sure you
Okay,
like, share,
listen.
and subscribe.
You
Like,
will
seriously.
never find a face just like mine.
That's awesome.
You guys can hate us all you want. I mean,
Oh, is that what they're doing?
I'm sure that's what
okay.
Jack is telling me. He goes, "Oh man, these guys hate you guys." I don't know what the big deal is, but
I don't know. I'm just spitting facts.
we're
I'm
speaking
just
the
spitting
truth
facts.
right now.
Oh,
I don't know what-
they like the
I try to
Acolyte
be
or
as
something?
honest as I can about everything I fucking.
They like
come
the
up- come
Acolyte?
across, man. Genuine.
They like the Acolyte, huh?
I don't know. No, RJ doesn't like the Acolyte, and with good reason, because it's not a good show.
But
With
yeah,
good
I
reason.
was just trying to prove a
That's
point.
funny, man. That's funny.
2017 is when the woke stuff started. That's when it started. 2017.
It's funny though, because I mean, I'm telling you guys, like, if you're a fan of the Acolyte, movie perp, and Degrassi, and Senior Nerd, hey, more power to you. But
If you like that show, then
fucking sucks, dude. I'm sorry.
That's on you. But if you don't like it, join us on the light side of the Force, where we don't use the thread.
Okay, look, I'm gonna tell y'all something. I have this theory in my head, and I know you
Okay.
guys gonna be against it. This is very a hot take.
No.
This is a hot take. You probably gonna say no. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Okay, you guys are hardcore Star Wars fans.
Mm-hmm.
I never believed that Vader was the chosen one.
Oh, you thought it was Luke?
I always thought it was Luke.
You always thought it was Luke.
It made more sense for it to be Luke. What did Vader do? Vader did not bring balance to the Force.
because he came back to it and he took out. Okay, so balancing the Force, right?
He didn't bring
So
balance.
you've got Obi-Wan who died, which caused an imbalance in the Force, and that rose Luke.
No, you're not thinking like George Lucas.
I'm thinking exactly like George.
No,
Lucas.
listen. George Lucas said bringing balance don't mean you got this right here and this right here.
Mhm.
The Jedi, when you bring balance to the Force, mean you making things good. You making the light side overcome darkness. I thought that too. I thought, okay, the Sith had to be right here and the Jedi had to be right here to bring balance.
I'm talking as like Force users, right? Like that's why the Sith in the Phantom Menace were so strong, because there were so few of them, and that's why they always tried to kill themselves, because they wanted to acquire more power. You know, they wanted to have more strength. There was no strength in numbers when it comes to the Sith. And so at the end of, Return of the Jedi, Yoda had died. So then that allowed for Luke to, to be able to be as powerful or powerfully enough to, turn Vader, because the balance in him was shifted. That's why there was a dichotomy with Vader. And that's why he was able to be turned, because even in Return of the Jedi, he was like, you don't know the power of the Force. Or power of the dark side. I must obey my master.
But can we agree that Luke turned Vader?
I think
if Luke was never in the picture, Vader would
no, he never would have turned.
Well, yeah, no.
If Luke had died, he never
Luke
would have
is the
turned.
one.
So Luke is the chosen one.
But the only
Luke is the
only
one
person that could bring
that-
him back out of it was Anakin. Anakin brought him back out of it because of Luke. Luke helped him. Luke was a catalyst, but Luke didn't turn him. Anakin turned himself, and when he did, he said, "Okay, I'm dying. I'm going to kill. I'll take out the Emperor, who is much stronger than Luke, and Luke couldn't have taken out. So he took out the Emperor. Of course, he never died because he lives to survive somehow."
Okay, well, watch this. So all it took to be the chosen one was to kill Palpatine.
No, it was to balance the Force.
But think about all that Luke did. Luke destroyed the Death Star. He turned Vader. He built back the Jedi Temple. Remember, it wasn't no Jedi left except for Luke. But Luke was the one that built up the Jedi Temple. And that's why I'm saying Luke got to be the chosen one. Because when you look at Vader, Vader killed everybody in the Jedi Temple and destroyed a lot more people in the universe.
Vader did horrible to the galaxy.
That's what I'm saying. So it will have to be Luke to be.
But when you're looking at the Force,
said,
you don't look at it as good or evil or whatnot. You look at it as balance or imbalance.
But the Jedi look at balance as the light side winning over the dark side.
The light side of the Force should govern the dark side.
But what about
the dark side's going to be there regardless? But it is a ruler over the dark.
Look over the definition of balance of the Force. And you
balance of the Force. There's a definition.
Just look it up
in the dictionary.
Remember,
it's on the Wikipedia.
Wikipedia cannot be trusted.
And remember, Yoda said this too: a prophecy we might have misinterpreted.
And that's true. Look. I'm not saying that you're wrong.
I'm just
Axel, come on, man.
Wait. How can the Force be female if it impregnated a Sith?
He was just joking, man.
I'm just saying, Force is male because I carried them. You carried them how? You had to carry them through a male, through sperm.
I don't know. Whatever. Look, I'm not going to go there. All I'm saying is that, to come out and say the Force is female, it's kind of like, okay, well, hold on a minute. Like we're not putting a gender on the Force. The Force is just the Force itself. So, but that's a whole different conversation.
Okay, real quick, just the definition. Just the definition right here. Balance in Star Wars means...
Share screen. Where you watch it? Is this on Wikipedia?
No, this is just from the internet. But I heard George Lucas say this too.
Oh, look, Ryan left. He didn't want to hear
it. Balance of the Force. Balance in Star Wars means eliminating dark side selfishness, fear, and hate. The true focus is on light side harmony. Now, don't get me wrong. When it comes, I believe Luke was the chosen one, but don't get me wrong. I believe Dooku was right about the Jedi the whole time as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Dooku was right.
Yeah.
He was right about the Jedi. They had lost their way. They had lost their focus.
Well, they did because they became too big. And that's the same consequence you see with every power that has existed. Look at Rome. Look at countless empires that have risen and fallen because once they grow too big, they cannot control everything, and then everything begins to slip through the cracks, or as Leia put it, slip through your fingers or fingers.
It's just like the Snyder Cut movie. They got too big, man.
They got too big, and then they didn't know what to do with each other, so then they started eating each other.
Started eating each other, man.
Yeah.
That was too much power for fans to have,
Yeah, they were like, wait, what's happening right now? We'll see what happens, man. I don't know. But, guys, I know Ryan's not here right now. But, guys, that's all the time I have for today. I'm going to wrap things up. Man. Of course. Fatal, where can they find you and all your content?
They can find me at Fatal J I mean, you can find me anywhere. Just type in Fatal J anywhere. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. My beautiful face will pop up. If
And
you want some
then
Ninja Blast comic books,
Ninja Blast.
You can message me at joutfly@yahoo.com. joutfly@yahoo.com. Just send me an email. Say, hey, I want some Ninja Blast. I'll give you my PayPal link and I'll mail it out to you.
And guys, check out nicotina.net. That's where you can find access to all three of my channels. There are all three channels have communities built to them as well. There's memberships available on Beyond the Unknown and on the Nicotina Show. Check that out. Become a member and help support the channel. Or you can do so by becoming a member on YouTube or joining us over on the Patreon. Ryan, where can they find you and all your content?
You can find me mainly hanging out on Instagram. I'm posting a lot of my stuff for the comic that I'm working on. I'm coloring it right now. So having a good time doing that. It is kind of tedious, but it's fun and it's great. And I'm very stoked to be able to share it as soon as I can. But yeah, I'm not really hanging out on X or anything like that. I kind of check that every so often, but I mainly hang out on Instagram. So check me out there. Check out my YouTube channel. And hey, support another creator.
How did that what burger taste?
Delicious.
Delish. And guys, before we leave, this is the prime example of the current state of the show, The Acolyte.
All right, let's see.
There it is right there.
Oh, there's Fatal J watching the show.
Just cut my stomach already.
He's like, I do that so I could just eat and not have to go to the bathroom.
All right, guys, we will see you guys next time. Peace.